Hello and welcome to the Reaper. So we're all very happy because we've just got our F-18s, our proper release F-18s, and we are going to go through setting the controls for the F-18 Hornet. Now, right, so we're in the main menu here. We're going to go to options there. Then we're going to go, it will start on system, so you'll go to controls there and find your beloved plane, which is the F-18 Sim. Right, now we're going to start on the left part of your HOTAS. That is the, the movable thrust lever section. So the first thing we must have, because unless you're much brainier than Cap, which is quite likely, is auto start on one of the switches. So on one of the non-essential emergency switches, we're going to auto start. So to get that, we're going to go here, search, auto start, no, auto something, stand by as I try and find, there it is, auto start and auto stop. So let's put that one in there and auto stop there, so that you can set it starting and stopping, and you can go off and film your buddies or do whatever you want to do. That's that. Next one is going to be cage uncage. So in the search type cage, it's going to come up with cage uncage button. Very important. You want to set that to somewhere that's easy to reach on your thrust lever, I find. So I'm going to set that there, my joystick button 2 on the top. That's fine. Next we are going to go flare and chaff countermeasures. So search for flare, should get it. Yep, we've got flares. If you search for flare, you've got it straight there. That's going to be on my lever. It's going to be this two-way button here, so I've got flares button 28. Then we're going to go chaff, which are in the countermeasures family, and I'm going to go put it on the other side of that button there. That's still on the left side of the HOTAS. Next we're going to go on this button I've got on my left part of my HOTAS, which I'm going to put as autopilot. You'll need, so search, stand by as I try and get this right, autopilot, also known as nozzle steering, engage, disengage. So put that there on the left part of your stick. Next let's finish up the stuff on this side of the HOTAS. So we're going to look for air brake, probably called speed brake. So let's search speed space, and there it is. Now there's extend, there's off, there's retract, and retract off. So off I'm going to set as this one here for me, and extend, pretty sure it's extend, so I'm going to go extend for this one here, so I can toggle between extend and off. I think that's right. If I've cocked that up, I will come back and fix that later.
Yeah.
Flaps next, guys, and it's going to be the same thing, lots of commands. You've got 8 different flap commands. I just want up and down. So now that doesn't make the flaps go, come down and go up like it says. What it does is it switches through the flap modes, because there are different flap modes on the Hornet. So if up, for instance, will switch up through the flap modes, and down will switch down through the flap mode. So get flap switch up and down. You won't want all 8 otherwise there. So just got to get this right down there and up there, and so we can switch through the flap modes. That's the best way I found of doing it so far. So that is everything on the thrust sticks button wise. So next I've got to go and set some axes up. So let's go to axes. Next we're going to go to zoom view. You guys may have your own zoom view, but I have mine as a turny thing on my HOTAS, so I'm going to set that up. There it is. Next is thrust left and thrust right. So disconnect your thrust block, and then you will know how to do this. So that is my left thrust, and that is my right thrust. Beautiful. And then connect them back together if we can. There we go. So that's that. Right, now I've got one more which I'm going to switch. You may not have to do this, but for my left HOTAS I'm going to go and set view cockpit, and I'm going to set snap view 5. It's just something I particularly like. Probably none of you are interested in it. So there we go. Right, that is the left HOTAS, I believe, now set up. Now we're going to do the right HOTAS, a little bit more complicated. So we're going to go and start at the axis commands. So it's all going to be relatively obvious. So pitch is joystick Y, and it's already found that for me. So all I've got to do is an axis tune, and all I do is set that to 25 curve. Bosh there. Next we're going to go to the roll. It's already got left and right for me in the X, so I'm going to get axis tune to 25. Next is the rudder, and it's probably got that wrong, so I'm going to set the rudder now. Rudder left, rudder right. Okay. And we're going to tune that as well to curve 25. Give that a test. There it is. Lovely. Beautiful. So that is my surface controls. Thrust's all done. So that's everything I want in the axis. There's other interesting stuff you can set in the axes, including a TDC, but we couldn't actually get that working. So that's all we're going to do here for now until further notice. Right, and let's start working around the right HOTAS, shall we? So the next thing is search is trigger. So we've got gun trigger, second detent. If you've only got a single dent trigger like me, all you're interested in is second detent. I'm going to put it on the right here and pow. Button 1. Next, we're going to do your second backup trigger, which is going to be your weapon release. Search for weapon release. And that is going to be your secondary trigger because it's going to drop your bombs and stuff. Okay. Next is on your right HOTAS is going to be the wheel brake. It's a good place to have it. So let's go and find search wheel brake. Let me think. I think it's that on or off one there. So I'm going to set that there. Oh, it's not working. I've got it on the wrong one. That one there. That's wheel brake. Lovely. Next is going to be undesignate / nose wheel steering, which is very important. So search for undesignate / nose wheel steer, and you want that on your right HOTAS. That's where I've got mine, and you'll be using that to unlock Sherman when you've accidentally shot at him, as we learnt the hard way. So that's that. Next we are going to work around the top of the right HOTAS joystick. We're going to do the trimmer switch, or it'll be a hat on your right joystick. So whichever one you use for the trimming. So we're going to search for trimmer, in fact. Trimmer, and you can see there's just up, down, left, right there. So left wing there. Pull or climb. Push or descend. And right wing down. There. Right, now a button that I've got for locking the target on my right HOTAS, I'm going to set to depress. So we want to find something, search and find depress. You can see, excuse me, it's throttle designated control depress. Set that up. There we go. The next is we want to set the sensor controls. Now, if you've ever flown an F-15, it's identical to flying an F-15 in DCS, the sensor controls. There are extra options in this, but actually, no, it's not identical. It's similar. I'm going to show you what I mean. So stand by as I try and figure it out as I go. So our sensor select, we want to search first for sensor control. Sensor space control. You'll have sensor control aft, forward, left and right. What this does is chooses different ways of locking a target, different radar modes for close combat is what that does. Aft is I think Boresight. So on this on my sensor control hat on my joystick, I'm going to do that one there. So aft is Boresight mode. I found it very useful. Unlike a lot of other planes, the radar is simulated more accurately, and actually getting a radar lock on something, even in close quarters, is actually very difficult compared to something like a flanker or a F-15, which doesn't have a proper model radar per se. So if you do a Boresight mode with a tiny little scan of radar, it's much more effective than doing, for instance, a vertical scan, where it's actually really hard to lock someone. You'll find that when you get into combat in a few minutes. Right, now I apologise, I've said something. Aft, ignore aft, I meant to say forward. Sensor control switch forward is Boresight. So that's your best one I found. Sensor select switch forward. Let's get that set there. Right, next, sensor control switch left. Now I believe from memory that is the wide angle acquisition mode. It's really hard to, I don't fully understand it. I think it just scans sideways, left and right in close quarters. And it can be quite useful for picking up stuff that's to the left or to the right, where you don't know exactly where it is. I've not got it working very well, but I think that's what it is. So set it up as sensor select left. Let me set mine up. There. Next, sensor select aft, which actually is long vertical scan mode. So it puts two vertical lines up your HUD and all the way up to about 60 degrees up, in fact, and we'll lock onto stuff there. So it's what we call vertical scan mode in an F-15 as well. So I'm going to set that to there. Now I haven't set up sensor control switch right. It is another method of locking, but I didn't find it particularly good, at least at the moment. So for the last one on that hat switch, I actually found it easiest to set that to selecting guns. You may put your gun somewhere else, but for me, this is where I've put my guns. So I'm going to go guns, and gun select is the last, for me, the last one on that hat switch. There it goes. Okay, so that is all your sensor setup for close combat. So if you get in close combat, hit that hat, either left to wide angle search, right to vertical search, or up to Boresight search. Personally, I found Boresight most reliable, at least so far, and then down if for the guns, or you may have your own gun selector. Right, we're on to the last one, I believe, guys. It is the throttle designator switch. So search throttle space des, and you'll come up with throttle designator controller. It's nothing to do with the throttle, it just happens to be on the throttle stick. In other planes, this is called TDC, which is someone target designator control. So you can just call it target designator control. It's what allows you to move boxes around on the radar, carrots around on the radar screen to select targets, and it will probably be useful on the other DDIs when more functionality becomes available. So simply add it to one of your hats on your stick. So I'm going to add that now. Down, left, right, and of course up. Now, as a backup, I also like to set the arrow keys to TDC on the keyboard in case you're having problems, for some reason you're struggling to use that on the stick because you're holding something else on the stick or something, and you have to use your left hand. Therefore, I set my arrows as well. I found that quite a useful thing to do. So up, right, left, down, and enter as the D press. So that's a keyboard backup for the TDC, and that's it. That is your F-18 setup. Like I said, when more functionality comes out over the next few months, maybe some switches need adding, but for that'll get you flying, that'll get you shooting down stuff, that'll get you bombing. That's all you need. Right, hope you enjoyed that, and we'll see you in the skies with your Hornets. Right, we've checked my controls and everything worked. The one thing I told you wrong was indeed the speed brake, so let's go and find that and correct that ever so quickly. We delete that. Speed brake. So we want the extend to be the one that extends the speed brake, and not off but retract. Retract to be the button that retracts the speed brake. Now, it's not like the F-15 or something where you just turn it on and off. It's analog, so you have to keep your finger on it to turn it on, and then you have to keep your finger on it until it's all the way down, turn it off. That's the only way I found of doing it. Yep, other than that, all good. Enjoy. Hello, welcome back yet again. Second revision. Right, so I've completely forgot about selecting your weapons. You do need to do this. Whether you'll need to do this on the later version, I don't know, but this is something you must have. Do not forget it. Right, go into the search function, type in stick, and it will come up with loads, but the interesting one you want is select AMRAAM, select gun, select Sidewinder, select Sparrow. Select gun, I've already put on something on my HOTAS, and that's me out of buttons, but you do, at least for the time being, need Sidewinder and Sparrow. So I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to put Sparrow. I'm going to put that as the 1 key on the keyboard because it's a Fox 1. Sidewinder, I'm going to put that as the 2 key on the keyboard because it's a Fox 2. The AMRAAM, I know we can't shoot them yet, but put it as a 3 keyboard on your keyboard, so that's ready to go. Gun, because you're going to need to select that in an absolute hurry. I put that on my joystick. So you will need these if you want to select and shoot these different weapons. Right, hopefully that's the last revision. Fingers crossed. Thank you, bye. Revision 3, something else we forgot, but you must have is radar elevation control. You can't do it on the click buttons at the moment, you have to do it on keys. So radar elevate, so go into sim, search, then type elevation, it will come up with this, up and down, and add there and change them to what you want to have them. So I'm going to have mine on the keys for now. There. And there. Right, that's that done. Hopefully no more revisions, there probably will be, but we'll see. Thanks and bye.